in Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch. This is Deb65 seen on Patriots Soapbox. Um, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern on Thursday mornings, and then Saturday evenings from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And so adjust for your time zone. So I just want to say welcome for everybody. And let's see. So I am putting out links into D Live. I'm putting out my YouTube, my PayPal. I've thought about, I was listening to, I was, excuse me, I was listening to Pam the other day, and he was talking about donor box, and I'm like, I started looking into donor box, and I'm like, I'm not I got confused. Stuff like that confuses me. So anyway, so I'm putting out my links. Let me get my links out. Oh, no, that's not that link. That's not the link I want. Oh, is it? Yes, it is. So, how is everybody doing on Saturday evenings? Let's see. My video? Which video? Uh, I'm thinking that maybe Thursday morning, so I may start, instead of doing a Bible study, just putting up my Rumble Bible study, especially until we start, until we, oh gosh, until we can, until I move. So I mean, all right, and let's see. That's my PayPal, YouTube. So if anybody can put it in Vaughn and any place else that PSB, PSB. Uh, hey, Best Nani. I'm sorry. How are you doing? I'm sorry you have to go, but how are you doing? I haven't been able to talk to you. I just put in my Discord. I put my Discord in also. So I put in my Discord link in. So if anybody wants to join me in Discord, you can. I don't know what I'll do in Discord at this point, but it just. But at least in Discord you can actually talk to people. That's one thing I missed about Discord. Uh, So, and in case you haven't heard, Miss Nani, we are leaving California. Oh, and did y'all hear? Oh, did anybody hear? Oh, do I have this? Let me see if I have this. I got to find out if I have that whole thing. Um, it's crazy because California has done it again. It is totally messed up. So, California has passed a law again stating that starting January of 2027, kids or children 18 to 16 years of age are going to have to be in. Are you ready for the punch line? They have to be in booster seats, car seats. Hey, Tina Anand. So, right now, I'm not ready to say right now unless it's in. I can text you, but we are until I get there. Uh, Yeah, until we get there, I'm not ready to say until we actually get there. But it's going to be back in the central time zone, and it will be close to Texas, but it will not be Texas. So that gives y'all an idea about where I'm going. Well, I was part of the purge, and when I tried to get back in, they said nope, can't do it. So let's see what all I have in my stuff. So we got. Oh, I don't know. Has anybody has anybody talked about this McIver chick? I shouldn't call her chick, but McIver. It's McIver. You remember her? Anybody remember her? She she decided she wanted to. Uh, she decided she didn't have to. She decided she could. She was above the law. Let me see if I can get it over there. Hold on a second. It's hard. It really it's not easy. Well, yeah, after I mean I know Erin covers so much, and it's really hard to find. Let me see. Yeah. So this McIver. So let's see. Yep. 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 Uh, I'm running. I'm looking at your. So you guys, y'all remember this person? So comes out of the New Jersey Monitor, and judge denies MCIVER bid to dismiss federal assault charges. Remember, she interfered. Oh yeah. So a federal judge ruled Thursday that two of the three assault charges against Representative LaMonica McIver can proceed, largely rejecting the first term Democrats' bid to dismiss the charges and paving the way for the case to go to trial. So, and I think this Semper is a Biden or Obama. I can't remember what I read. So, U.S. District Court Judge Jamel K. Semper, in a 41-page ruling, dismissed McIver's claim that she is the victim of selective prosecution and that most of the. Ooh, that just hurts, doesn't it? Prosecutors allege McIver assaulted federal agents on May the 9th at the Delaney Hall Migrant Jail in Newark as the agents Baraka met her burden of establishing that her predominant purpose in physically opposing the mayor's arrest was to conduct oversight or gather information for a legislative purpose. No, she was there to be an activist. She wasn't there for anything but to get headlines. No genuine legislative purpose was advanced. Its trial will be point. Don't figure any kind of trial to come up before January 1st of 2026. It ha- whatever happened to fair and speedy trial. It had been scheduled to start Monday, but Semper deletes more facts. So here's the kicker. We get a win, and now we've got the okay. Said he needs more facts to decide McIver's motion guilty and maintained that the charges amount to political retaliation on behalf of the Trump administration. That's isn't it funny? It's up. Trump is retaliating. He's retaliating. Well, what did they call it when they went after Trump, President Trump at Mar-a-Lago? What did they call it when they had him go into court and get a mugshot, get fingerprinted? I said they raided Mar-a-Lago. What did they call it when what did they call it with President Trump? They've been after him since the 2015 when he came down the escalator. Happy birthday, wishful thinking. Whose birthday? So happy birthday. Anyway, let's see. McIver attorney Paul J. Fishman, a former U.S. attorney for New Jersey, said her legal team is evaluating next steps. Although it's are wrong. Of course you would. You're her attorney. You're her legal team. That's it's not a surprise. It is clear this administration is than the actions of those who are on their side. Yeah. How about because how many of the actions of those on their side, quote, actually interfered in an investigation? He been, like him or not, Steve Bannon's turned himself in. Like him or not, Steve Peter Navarro turned himself. All these people when they were called. I mean, the only time they may not have shown was a congressional subpoena, but that is far different than going into a immigration facility and trying to impede someone from being arrested. I mean, even then, even like Rudy Giuliani did not physically from Arrow or Steve Bannon or even President Trump, for that matter. It is also clear that this prosecution is designed to chill the congresswoman's lawful authority. She really wanted to do that. She would have just, let's duke it out in the courts, right? The mayor be arrested and then go and bail them out. They're good about bailing them out. Okay. Let's see. McIver's charges have made her somewhat of a celebrity among celebrities who haven't denounced his administration for going after his political enemies. Progressive House members like Ilhan Omar from Minnesota and Jasmine Crockett of Texas appeared at a rally in support of McIver last month outside a federal courthouse in Newark. A former councilwoman in Newark, McIver ascended councilwoman. McIver ascended to the House of Representatives last year after winning elections to succeed the late Donald Payne Jr. since she was in. Man, they didn't make that thing clear. Since she was indicted last spring, she has vowed not to be intimidated by the Trump administration. You know, they're singing the same tune. Who had who was sleeping with a Chinese spy, right? It's clear why this is happening. It's because I was doing my job and I will continue to do so. I'm not going to stop holding this administration accountable, McIver said after a court hearing last month. Federal prosecutors did not charge McIver for actions on May the 9th until roughly 10 days later. At the same time, they announced they would drop the charges against Baraka of grabbing and pushing agents as they arrested Baraka for trespassing, an episode caught on multiple cameras worn by the agents and taken by bystanders to witness the chaotic scene. Have made two arguments to Semper. They say her actions that day constituted legislative acts that cannot be prosecuted because the Constitution speech or debate clause, which is intended prosecutions or civil lawsuits related to their legislative work. How? Okay, explain to me again. How is that legislative work? And they say the charges should be thrown out because so there's evidence, there's videotape and multiple cameras, by the way, and she's there. She puts hands on an agent. That's assault, guys. That is a definition of assault. She crossed the line. She could say, oh, what is it? What is it that they say that? What was it they were griping about? President Trump can't about prosecution immunity while he's conducting business. That's not conducting business. That's not freedom of speech. When she goes in to impede someone getting arrested, that's not. But Semper's ruling says McIver's intervention in Baraka's arrest had no cognizable connection to any action protected by the speech or debate clause. McIver had been in a Delaney Hall vestibule waiting to inspect the facility as agents prepared to arrest Baraka. Barack. He then joined others protesting the arrest. McIver's attorneys have argued that she was doubling down on her oversight during this time. No, she probably got word that he was going to be arrested, so she went over there, just like Padilla, to that press conference here in California, where they were. He should have been in Washington, but he flew down to. So McIver's attorneys have argued that she was doubling down on her oversight during this time, but Semper rejected that argument, noting that McIver's tour of the government has charged defendant for conduct that took place during a brief time frame before the oversight inspection began, not on the facility's premises, but in the public parking. So she, in other words, her little protest happened at the wrong time and in the wrong place. The court cannot find that legislative, he wrote. Semper was equally dismissive of McIver's arguments that she is a victim of selected vindictive prosecution. McIver cited the January 6, 2021 riot at the well, of course, it wasn't a riot; it was a setup to keep so they could so the Democrat or the Babylonian globalist elites could to fraudulently certify a 2020 election results at the U.S. Capitol as evidence of selected cannot be compared to the cases of January 6th. I'm not even going to say that word because many of them were indeed prosecuted before President Donald Trump. Our arguments that a prosecution is invictive is comments Trump and acting Attorney General Alina Abba have made about the Democratic Party are not specifically about McIver. These broad statements are not specific. Yeah, like who? Fannie Willis? Or how about Letitia James? If I'm elected, I'm going to go after Donald Trump as far as I can. I'm going to throw the book at him. Right? These broad statements are not specific to this defendant or responsive to her policy positions on immigration and are therefore not personalized in a way that the requested relief contemplates, he wrote. So my question is so let's see. So I'm gonna take that down. So what do y'all think about McIver? So I am, and then I'm going to take that down. So, Sons of Liberty. Since you asked me a question um, before, oh, sweet niblets, oh, cornflakes. Um, so, Sons of Liberty, you asked me a question earlier. Are you still there? Hey, Susie Benier. Oh, I never finished the 15 to 18-year-old car seat deal. Okay. I'll go back to that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can do that real quick. No, but Sons of Liberty had asked me earlier about Pastor Rob McCoy and Godspeak. Actually, I mean, Godspeak, one of the reasons why I started going to Godspeak is because Pastor Rob, I mean, I've mentioned it before. Pastor Rob McCoy with Godspeak, he actually has stepped down. He is no longer the senior pastor. He turned that over to his son-in-law, but he was a on the city council of Thousand Oaks, and that's before I got here. So I think it was back in 2020 or something like that. But he often started talking about politics whenever he started because of everything that's been going on. Why is that? What are you doing to me over here? Oh, jeez. Um, Sorry, I apologize. I'm trying to do two things at one time. But so he would talk about what was happening, the stuff going on, and then he would do his service. Each each Calvary Chapel works, although they fall under the umbrella of Calvary Chapel. They do the preachers do independently. Like the church I'm going to right now, his when Charlie Kirk, what happened to Charlie Kirk, he barely mentioned Charlie Kirk. It was basically I'm just he prayed and but he didn't talk about Charlie Kirk. Um, so Calvary Chapel have each pastor, they have a kind of a formula, I guess, in the sense that they do go line scripture by book by book, scripture by scripture, line by line. They do take. Right now, they've been working through Genesis, the book of Genesis, every month. But every Calvary Chapel has their pastor has their own style. They work independently from, say, like if you have a Methodist church, or a church of Southern Baptist, part of the Southern Baptist uh, convention. They don't. I guess you could say they don't have the talking points like a. So does that help answer your question, Sons of Liberty? Yeah, he's had politicians. He's actually had Pam Bondi go and talk to the church. He had Charlie Kirk, like I said before, Charlie Kirk when they had their I guess you could call it the passing the baton. He had Pastor Rob had Riley Gaines there. He's had he's had some of the like the creators of that movie Notorious was there talking. He's had General Flynn, and it's like I said. I mean, I have my reasons that I'm not willing. I'm I don't want to make it public why, but the main reason why I started going there or stopped going there is just it was too hassle of a drive, and with the California with gas prices in California, it was just too much on my car because I'd have to drive up a mountain, and I really wanted to be part of Turning Point Faith, but I just couldn't because the it gets so dark here, and with my eyesight, I just cannot drive at night. So anyway, okay, well, all right. So Spike asked about the. Let's see. Let me get that. I think it's Assembly Bill 435. Of course, everybody knows about Assembly Bill 495, right? Let's see. So here we go. The California Assembly Bill 435. This is the actual bill. See, so this is the bill. I don't know. So it was. Does it say? So existing law requires a parent, legal guardian, or driver who transport a child under 16 years of age on a highway in a motor vehicle to properly secure as specified. Existing law authorizes a child or ward under 8 years of age who is 9, 4 feet 9 inches in height or taller to be properly restrained by a safety belt rather than a child passenger restraining law. Okay. The existing law prohibits the operator of a limousine for hire, an authorized emergency vehicle, or taxi cab from operating the limousine for hire, authorized emergency vehicle, or taxi cab unless the operator and a passenger 8 years of age or older in the front seat are properly restrained by a safety belt. Guardian or chartering party from transporting on a bus or permit to be transported on a bus a child, ward, or passenger who is 8 years of age or older but under 16 years of age unless they are properly restrained by a safety belt for a child, ward, or passenger who is under 8 years of age and under 4 feet 9 inches in height. Purposes of the above provisions properly restrained by a safety belt to mean that the lap belt crosses the hips or upper thighs of the occupant and the shoulder belt, if present, crosses the chest in front of the occupant. Existing law defines acceptably restrained by a safety belt to mean the latch plate is securely fastened in the buckle. The lap belt is adjusted to the stomach area. The shoulder belt is adjusted snugly across the chest and the middle of the shoulder away from the neck, and the shoulder belt is not placed behind the back manner. This bill would instead, commencing January 1st, 2027, define properly restrained by a safety belt to mean that the child, ward, or passenger meets the ward or passenger is sitting all the way back against the auto seat. The knees of the child, ward, or passenger bend over the edge of the auto seat. The shoulder belt snugly ward or passenger's chest and shoulder, not the child, ward, or the passenger's neck. The lap belt is as low as possible and is touching the child, ward, or passenger's thighs, and the child, ward, or passenger crimes. This bill would oppose a state mandated local program. So the California Constitution requires the state to reimburse local agencies and school districts for certain costs mandated by the state. Statutory provisions establish procedures for making that reimbursement. This bill would re- re- But enough of the Democrats who control the legislature balk that officers use to determine if a child is tall enough to safely wear a seatbelt while riding in a vehicle. Shoot, by this law, even though I'm not 16 any longer, man, I would be, because I'm barely over 4'9", and I barely can depending on the make of the model of the car, my legs barely go over the seat. Currently, California law requires children to use booster seats until they turn 8 or reach a height of 4'9". This won't change of the law Newsom signed, but beginning 2000 from 8 to 16 years old will have to pass a 5-step test to be considered properly restrained by a seat under California law. So does that mean that the police are going to be hovering outside the school so they can see if every child that gets out of the car or the bus are properly restrained? If the driver of a vehicle can't answer yes to all the 5 questions, all passenger, the driver could get a ticket and fines of $490. So, number one, does the child sit all the way back against the seat? Number two, do the child's knees bend comfortably at the edge of the seat? Number three, does the belt resting on the collarbone? Number four, is the lap belt as low as possible, touching the thighs? Number five, can the child stay seated like this for the whole trip? You talk about like a 2-hour trip? That's a hard one. It says the point is to encourage children and their parents to stay in booster seats until they're grown tall enough for a seat belt to fit them properly. Here we go. What do we health officials? Since 2020, and the California Highway Patrol have for years encouraged parents to follow. Advocates cite numerous studies showing that small children in car wrecks are more likely to be severely injured. I mean, that's the whole idea of the 4'9". I mean, my grandson my daughter kept him until he was 9 years old. Not because he wasn't tall enough, but because he wanted, and used to, there was a weight requirement. He, it was so that to make sure that he could sit properly. It's also especially dangerous. Can be using booster if they do not meet the test, the better, because it is so important to have the belt in the right place, said Stephanie Tombrero, the former executive director of safety. The original version of the bill would have banned teens up to 16 years old from sitting in the front seat if they couldn't pass the 5-step test. The bill would have the bill also would bar all those under 13 from sitting in the front seat. The measure would also have required children as old as 13 to use a booster seat unless they passed the 5-step test. I mean, this is stupid. Actually, because I've been on the bus with kids, and they do have to be belted. They're supposed to be belted, and it's like three, depending on the bus, it's three to the thing. But even with child and automotive safety and healthcare groups supporting the bill, it proved to be too tough to sell in its original form for its author, Democratic Assembly member Lori Wilson of Suisun City. Her bill stalled through its first two committees. Then in May, the bill died when Wilson brought in 35 with 25 Democrats. As Calabatters reported, Democrats almost never vote no on their colleagues' bills. Instead, they typically don't vote at all. So, yeah, the same. So, okay, so they're saving face, right? So they don't get backlash from the public, right? In the Capitol, it's seen as a more polite way of saying no and less likely to lead to retaliation. Not voting also allows politicians to dodge accountability for controversial votes since it's difficult for a member of the public there to vote that day. Huh. Wilson told Matters that part of the resistance from her Democratic colleagues was fallout over controversial legislation that sought to increase penalties for solicitation. Huh? Ah, that seems like a juicy thing. That legislation raised difficult questions in the Democratic caucus about how hard to crack down on those accused of soliciting sex from minors based on whether the victims were younger or older teenagers. So, okay, if I'm reading this sentence right, I mean, okay, I'm going to ask you this question. Does this, the way it's worded, let me read it again. The legislation raised to crack down on those accused of soliciting sex from minors based on whether the victims are younger or older teenagers. So somehow they're attaching this and they're protecting under or minors from seeing that too. I mean, does that? I mean, how? I mean, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. That's weird. That's just a weird connection, if you ask me. Along came conservative media outlets made comparisons between the bills since her sought to have the state treat some teens like, like small children. Well, if they are under 18 or 20, if they are minor children, they shouldn't. Hello? They're still the progressive Democrats, older teenagers. It then started getting eyes on, she said, and people started talking about, well, actually, I have a 10-year-old and they don't want to sit in a booster seat. I don't want them to sit in a booster seat. I mean, it's a right of, I mean, really, of course, when, as Erin and I are, it was a rite of passage to be able to sit in the front seat. We didn't have booster seats. See it all the time. None of the Democrats who didn't vote on the bill in May spoke during the bill's brief assembly floor hearing. Of the assembly Democrats who didn't vote that day, Cal Metters requested interviews this week with five of them, all of whom have children. Spokespeople for Cotty Petrie Norris of Irvine, Maggie Krell of Sacramento, Rhodesia, what kind of name is Rhodesia Ransom of Stockton, Jesse Gabriel of Encino, and Christopher Ward of San Diego did not make them available for interviews. Following the following month, Wilson brought the bill back to the Assembly, noting that many of her colleagues were leery of the bill. She promised it. With her assurances, the bill squeaked by with 42 votes. Then, after the most controversial provisions were removed, it passed the Senate. Wilson said she's satisfied with the version of the bill that Newsom signed and has no plans to resurrect the more controversial measures in future legislation. I think just changing the culture and how now it being required. I think enough to I think that's enough to push parents to make the right choice for their kids. You know what? And here's where this is the I find that's absurd with politicians. It's one thing to sit there and say we're going to do this, this, and this, but how are you going to enforce it? Is it feasible? Is it practical to actually do this? I mean, I've always said that. Oh, now I didn't know my parent. I mean, um, I would be like, now I had a actually we had my one of my mom and dad's friends. She would babysit me and my sister after school. I mean, yeah. In fact, well, I guess no, that's when mama was working as a. She worked as a substitute teacher, but it wasn't when she worked as a substitute teacher. It was I don't think it was out of necessity. I think it was to give her something to do where while we were in school. But we had a babysitter. Well, I was in school. My sister wasn't. But anyway, she would let me because we had it was the town was it was a farming community, so it was it didn't have a lot of stores and everything. It was a really really small town. It was USA Americana, and uh, she would let me drive down the street. She would sit me in the driver's seat. She would be behind me, and she would have the gas pedal. She would have her foot on the gas pedal, and I would steer the wheel. So I got to pretend I was driving. But you know, so anyhow, so let's see. But like I said, how are they? I mean, really, are they really going to sit there and have the police at the schools? Yeah, yeah. My dad's arm was too, especially if he stopped too soon. Wow, Tim, that's a lot. Okay, since it is, let's see. Should I? Okay, I am going to. For those who are just joining us, this is On the Wing and a Prayer. This seen Saturday evenings from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. So adjust for your time zone. I'm putting out links, and I'm going to be putting out my links and sharing my links with you guys. So I hope you guys are having a good evening. And I now have da 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 da. Okay, let me grab this and go. And come on. So if anybody wants to, you can always join me on YouTube or Rumble. I do have YouTube and Rumble up, and we're live on Rumble and YouTube. And ooh, I smell supper. I'm getting hungry. And I do have a Discord link. I have Discord now. So if anybody wants to join me in Discord, I was one of the first ones purged, and I now have Discord. So there's a link. Alrighty. Let's see. Got another hour to go. So what? Let's see. Alright, let me see. I'm going to. We talked about churches earlier. I did that again. So this is from the ECLJ, Jake Sekulow and Jordan Sekulow. So let me get this. I saw this and I thought, oh, this needs to be talked about a little bit. Oops. All right. Just criminally citing pastors for gathering in public parks. So, and share meals and fellowship. They exercise their constitutionally protected right to freely practice their faith in a traditional public forum, a right that has been guaranteed to Americans since our nation's founding. Then the city of North Glen decided the religious exercise was a problem, going so far as criminally citing the pastors for exercising their constitutionally protected rights to religion, speech, and assembly. The ACLJ is taking legal action representing 4 church members, including 2 pastors. We will be filing a federal lawsuit to defend these pastors and their constitutional right to freely exercise their faith in a public park and to defend them against their criminal citations. This case represents another disturbing example of government hostility toward religious expression, and we won't stand for it. Take action as we defend these churches and add your name to the petition. Since July 2020, pastors and members from local churches, including Brent Denny and David McCamish, are who are members of Brave Church, and Pastor Dustin McIntosh from Next Step Christian Church have led weekly ministry gatherings at E.B. Raines Jr. Memorial Park. These weren't rowdy events or disruptive protests. They were peacefully religious gatherings centered on worship, prayer, Bible study, fellowship, and Christian charity, including providing food to the homeless. And see, this is what got me. Okay, so everybody's talking about SNAP and everybody, we need the government to fund our food and do all this. Well, when this kind of stuff is happening, when you have people, how many people over the years have been fined or even, I think in one or two cases, may have been jailed for, there was one in, I think it was Arizona, a lady was fined for sharing food. Because of course, if you don't have your food handler certificate, of course you can't do this. Oh, actually, I got my food handlers. I could share food. For 4 years, there were no complaints, no incidents, and no problems. The churches used the park's pavilions on a first come, first served basis, just like any other group. The ministry operated without any objections from city officials. Then, in the summer of 2024, well, who was the person supposedly in the White House? Everything changed. The chief of the police informed the pastors he had been tasked, tasked with shutting down their weekly gatherings. City officials called a private meeting with representatives from the churches and made the city's position clear. I wonder what kind of change in leadership they had in those cities. They liked what the churches were doing, but they couldn't do it in North Glen. The city's objections wasn't to the size of the gatherings or actual disruption. Their objection was to who the churches were serving and why they were doing it, because of their religious conviction to follow Christ's command to serve in quotes, the least of these. Rather than respect these churches' First Amendment rights, the city of North Glen enacted Resolution CR 54 in June 2025, specifically designed to shut down religious gatherings. The new ordinance prohibits groups of four or five or more from using park pavilions and outdoor spaces on a recurring basis. Oh, yeah. So, in other words, yeah, we still need our money from people who want to host like parties, but because it's not a recurring base, right? I know some parks now, not all parks. Not all public parks charge to use their pavilions, but I know there are some parks that would. Some private parks, I guess. On September 18th, the city made its hostility unmistakable. Officers issued criminal citations to some of the pastors and other individuals, directing them to appear in court. When officers arrived, they didn't just ask about group size, they specifically inquired about church memberships, saying, "How many people are part of your church?" This reveals the true target. Not groups gathering in general, but religious gatherings specifically. One of the pastors given a citation wasn't even participating in the religious gathering at the time, but was sitting nearby. But because he was the pastor of one of the churches involved, he was cited. The selective enforcement is staggering. While these pastors face citations, numerous other groups continue using the same park without interference. Adult daycare groups, walking clubs, pickleball clubs, and fitness classes that meet multiple times per week. The churches are not aware of any of these groups having been cited. The city's own senior fitness group met at the park 4 times in 3 days, far exceeding any reasonable definition of recurring use, yet faced no consequences. The pattern is clear. Secular gatherings are fine, religious gatherings are targeted. The evidence of unconstitutional targeting is overwhelming. City officials held exclusive meetings with the religious leaders to discuss shutting down their ministry. Officers recorded which churches the pastors represented. Oh, Big Brother is really watching you, aren't they? Officers recorded which churches the pastors represented during the citation process. Information that would be irrelevant of this is truly about neutral enforcement. Let's see, information that would be irrelevant if this were truly about neutral enforcement of group size restrictions. This pattern mirrors the Supreme Court's landmark decision in Church of Lukamai Babalu I versus City of Hialeah, where the court struck down ordinances specifically designed to suppress religious practices while allowing comparable secular conduct. When a law targets religious exercise while permitting similar secular activities, it violates the free exercise clause and must satisfy strict scrutiny, a standard the city of Northglen cannot possibly meet. Even setting aside the blatant religious targeting, the ordinance is also unconstitutionally overboard. A five-person threshold in a park designed to accommodate 600 plus people simultaneously cannot be considered monopolization by any reasonable standard. The prohibition sweeps a vast amount of protected speech and is simply weekly family picnics, monthly scout meetings, prayer groups, book clubs, and countless other harmless gatherings. Even if the city could constitutionally address some legitimate concern about facility access, it cannot do so through a law that also targets and punishes ordinary protected activity on such a massive scale. Ironically, the very people North Glen should be trained to protect for park access, families with children, for example, are now being banned. So this case represents ACLJ's broader mission to defend pastors, churches, and religious organizations facing government hostilities. We've successfully defended and fought back against discriminatory treatment of religious groups nationwide. Time again, we've seen government officials attempt to silence or suppress religious expression. Time and again, we've defeated them in court. We will be filing soon at the Supreme Court defending a church's right to meet. Time and again, we've seen government officials attempt to silence or suppress religious expression, and time and again, we've defeated them in court. The North Glen case follows a familiar pattern. Officials target religious gatherings while giving secular activities a free pass. Using facially neutral rules as a pretext for religious discrimination. Let's see, I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Facts are clear. They have done nothing wrong. They simply gathered to worship, pray, and minister the gospel in a public park. Activities protected by the very words of the First Amendment. Despite pausing future enforcement, the city has refused to dismiss the citations. These faithful servants still face the prospect of criminal conviction for the quote crime of gathering to worship in a public space. We will not let that stand. The ACLJ is not only defending these pastors in criminal court to have these blatantly unconstitutional charges dismissed, but we are also preparing to file a federal lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of its discriminatory ordinance. Religious liberty is not negotiable, and we will fight to ensure the churches can continue their vital ministry without fear of government persecution. And that's by Jordan Seculo. And you know what? It's funny. You know, they always go and do these back room. They always have these back room deals. right? The cowards, they can't even bother to do it up front. I'm reading chat. Okay, so let's see what else we've got. Let's see, we got about 45, less than 45 minutes. So, how's it going, chat? And oh, did y'all see the Doritos about Doritos? So, Maha is making its way through, right? I'm kind of curious to see what it's going to be like, what they're going to taste like. So, in case you missed this, just in case you missed it, so y'all see this. So this is comes from CBS News. All right. The move comes following a push by Health and Human Services Secretary John F. Kennedy Jr. to get rid of synthetic food dyes in the nation's food supply. The FDA, or Food and Drug Administration, asked the industry to stop using dyes in April, but stopped short of banning them. For Cheetos and Doritos, the original versions will still be available in addition to the new options. NKD is an additive option, not a replacement, introduced to meet consumer demand. CEO of PepsiCo Food U.S. Rachel Fernando said in a statement. The, so here's a question: if that's the case, why do they need the? We are reinventing our iconic and most famous brands to deliver options with bold flavors fans know and love. Now reimaged without any artificial flavors. Herman Tantardini, CMO of PepsiCo Foods US, said the NKD collection will launch with four flavors: Doritos Simply NKD, Nachos Cheese, Doritos Simply NKD Cool Ranch, Cheetos Simply NKD Puffs, Cheetos Simply NKD Flamin' Hot. They will be available in stores starting December 1st, PepsiCo said. The original nachos flavored cheese Doritos contained the artificial colors yellow 6, yellow 5, and red 40. I remember when M&Ms, there was a big deal. There was a joke about red M&Ms back in what 19 late early 80s, getting rid of the red M&Ms and M&Ms. The Cool Ranch option has blue 2, red 40 and yellow 5. Other varieties contain other artificial dyes, according to the Doritos website. Original Cheetos and Puffs contain yellow 6. Flamin' Hot Cheetos also contain yellow 6, yellow 5, and red 40. Other companies, including Kraft Heinz, have pledged to remove artificial dyes from their U.S. products, and some states, such as West Virginia, have banned them. The push to remove dyes stems from concerns they inflate the consumption of unhealthy foods and raise the risk of possible behavioral changes in some children, such as hyperactivity, sleeplessness, and inattention. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody does a study to see just how how if their kids if they get them on that. Don't be surprised though if there's a until they until if they start using the new product until the new product their old stuff, the body stops getting used to the old stuff and start getting used to the new stuff. You're probably going to let's see and let's see this food in a dye industry has denied any safety concerns with the artificial dyes, and some doctors say food dyes are not the biggest threat to our health. The health risks really pale in comparison with the health risk of the added salt, sugar, and fat in processed food, Dr. Celine Gounder, a editor at large for public health at KFF Health News, said in July. So I thought that was interesting. It's going to be interesting. But you guys remember, when we talked about when we were getting the drops, the post, and talked about symbolism being their downfall, and I mean, Doritos, Cheetos, those were some of the symbols that we were looking at. So anyway, let's see what else do I have. Let's see. Oh, that killed another. Oh, you know what I forgot to put? Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. So, attention, um, Coastal Bend. Let me get it back up. Attention, Coastal Bend. We have another um, unaccompanied, unaccom- um, unaccompanied burial coming up this week. That's like 3 in 2 weeks that I've gone through. Oh, I don't want you. So let me. Ah, ILD, ILDED. All right. So let me get this up real quick. And I'm gonna try. So. All right. So let me get this. So if you are in the Coastal Bend area, no, Killeen, Fort Hood area. Sorry about that. My bad. If you are in the coastal uh, Fort Hood area in Killeen, Texas, we have unaccompanied veteran Edward Franklin Taylor, United States Army, Thursday, November the 20th, 2025 at 2 p.m. Central Texas State Veteran Cemetery, 11463 Fort Hood Street, Killeen, Texas, 76542. So if you can be there, if you know somebody in the area, please let them know that there is an unaccompanied veteran burial. Actually, they are opening a new veteran burial site cemetery, and it was getting I think it got rained out. They had to postpone their opening, but anyway. So unaccompanied veteran burial, Edward Franklin Taylor, United States Army, Thursday, November 20th, 2025, 2 p.m. Central Texas State Veterans Cemetery, 11463 Fort Hood Street, Killeen, Texas, 76542. So if you know of anybody or you can be there, that would be great. And oops, let me take this down out of my share. So here we are. So and I don't know if y'all saw this, but I thought this was crazy. This was just I thought this was just crazy. Hopefully this will work. Oh, did y'all see and I don't know if I still have it. Did y'all see the jazzercise people protesting in oh my gosh, did y'all see that the protester from over in Portland? They were jazzercising in neon color. I mean, it's like watching a Richard Simmons. Oh my gosh, that's how they were protesting, is exercising to the 80s. That was nuts. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. So anyway, I'm going to let's see. So I am hoping. Okay, I'm going to share this. So, did y'all see this? I just did y'all see this thing here? All right. So, hold on. I'll be right back. So, to get you back. So, this American Airlines flight carrying four congressmen diverted that. Okay, I haven't seen this, so I don't know exactly everything. But come on, full screen. So let's just see what this says. Let's just see. You got. I mean, they're griping, they're complaining, they're calling Republican shutdown. They're calling, they're saying. I mean, people that really don't understand how it works. I mean, people will. Mike Johnson said everybody home. Well, yeah, that's because it was the House. It wasn't the Republicans in the Senate, not working. I mean, he shut down. I mean, the Democrats in the House went home too. It wasn't just one party over the other. The whole House was dismissed. And you have these people that come in, and I just want the what are the odds that four congressmen have been called back so they can vote to open up the government in the House, and then they're finding out the Arctic frost, they somehow got put in the legislation. But anyway, the whole thing is it's just kind of weird how this woman, ends up getting um I guess you could say, just kind of, she was disruptive. I mean, is it a coincidence that four of the congressmen, of course we don't know who the congressmen are from this, don't know who where they were coming from, but I just I just thought when I saw that, I was like, this has got to be a joke, a fascist state. That's like people don't really know what the term Zion is about. Let me grab that. Let me grab this. All right. Oops. All right. Hold on. Let's see. Oops. Come on. Don't pause on me now. All right. I may have to redo that. Let me redo that. There we go. I mean, I looked at this as like, oh my gosh, do we want the sound or no? Okay. I want to be kind and I want to have compassion, but sometimes it's hard for me to, you know. I mean, I guess if they feel like they're doing something worthwhile, it's okay, right? I never really got into jazzercise, personally. My thing was martial arts for a while. Um, Other things. Let me see. I think I'm gonna take you down. Let's see, is there anything else? Let's see if I have something else that y'all might be interested in. So, and I want to say, hey, thank you, Crafty Fox. Hey, Crafty Fox has joined my server, my Discord server, or my Discord chat. So, all right, let's see. We got 20 minutes. I've gotten to the point because of my tech issues that I don't really do I don't I don't do videos anymore. Not like, I mean, songs anymore. It's just and I accidentally cut off my rumble. Oh, sorry. All right, let's see what we can find. Let me see if I can find something to play. Oh, oh man. Well, that doesn't help. So Firefox has decided it's going to update, so it's going to take a little while. So let's see, what can we talk about for the next few minutes? Um, hmm. Well, here's the thing: is I don't think people realize that once you see a lot of these deportations happen, that's like they had a oh gosh, they had a this guy who, the new sub story is this veteran came in 4 years old, went in the military, got a Purple Heart, but guess what? He was put in jail for shooting up a place, and I think he either wounded or killing some people. He spent 15 years in jail, and now that's the new. That's the new. That's the new. ICE is bad because this person who was a veteran um, who was in jail, and they deported him. So that's the new one. Yeah. Okay. If I have an ad blocker one on YouTube, I have to disable it. Thank you, Bearded Fedora. Let me see. Do da 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 da. Oh, to do da day. All right. Let's see. We got about 15 more minutes. Yeah, I think I mean, I really think you'll see prices should be coming down. And oh, yeah, by the way, and I say this all the time for people, I mean, because, hey, like I said, I'm in California, and, uh, and, so, because historically speaking, if a, historically speaking, when gas prices get down below like $50, $55, usually your gas prices go down to below $2. So if it's still up, there's a reason it's up, and not because. And this whole thing about, oh, Trump says day one, no, he's implementing policy from day one that will lower prices. It's just going to take time. Remember, some of the stuff that's out there is still under Biden's stuff, right? Some of the stuff hasn't really had a chance to take place yet. So, with that being said, and since this was the week of Veterans Day, I'm going to do Buddy Brown, I think. So, let's see. Hopefully, I will. Hopefully, this will. Buddy Brown. And. All right. I like this. I like this one. This is one of my favorites he does. All right. All right. Well, we'll see. I mean, President Trump can't do everything, so you got to remember, he's basically fighting. He's still fighting a lot of people, not just the Babylonian globalist elites. He's fighting this war, and I know people. I don't. I can't tell why he does what he does, but it seems like it's a waste of time if we went through all of this just for him to be a turncoat. I mean, it was like, why even bother to get us this far? What would really be what would be the purpose of it all? I mean, a lot of us that have been, I guess you say, if you want to use the word, woke up in the last 10 years, you know, why get us this far just to drop us? Okay, and but why get us this far just to drop us? That doesn't make sense to me. A lot of us could have just gone on, lived our lives, did whatever, griped and complained because it was getting harder and harder to live. But so why even bother to even mess with this stuff? Because how many people now since have done their own research? How many of us now understand what's going on? That there's been a systematic conspiracy, if you will, for lack of a better word. There's been a systematic uh, takedown of this country from almost from the inception, and it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, I agree. The Landrys. Let's see. Can I? Why are you? All right. Let's try this again. Hopefully, my tech issues. Okay, that. And thank you. And I just want to say thank you, Mrs. Freed, Texas Freedom Road. I message on to my daughter. Let me get this. Okay, stop sharing there. I gotta get that. Hey, so many things that I gotta go through to find everything. Let's see. Soldiers Pledge. I wonder. Hmm. So let's see. We got a few more minutes. I think I want to do another one. Where should I go next? Let's see. We got just enough time. I better figure it out soon, right? So, oh yeah, haven't done this one in a while, so I want to do this one. Okay. Side or home. I like that song. I just like the. I like the whole. Um, I like the whole rhythm of it. Let me. So let me get this. Um, Come on. Hello. All right. Okay. You better let me do that. I'm not gonna be happy. Okie dokie artichoke. Okay, here we go. Come on. Come on. All right. Okay. Whoops. Let me stop sharing that. Get that down. All right. And yes, I know. I agree. Mrs. Texas Freedom Road. Whoa, Nelly. Uh, yeah. Kind of miss him. Let me see. Okay. All right, let me get that down. And so I want to thank you, Chad. And so I tell you what, I put my links out there. Thank you, Breaking Inspector and Vaughn, um, passing on my links. I greatly appreciate that. So apparently, D Live, or not D Live, but Discord is going to be a learning curve because there's so much different stuff. But let's see what else. Okay, so well, it is almost that time. So I see who I see. I see your voice, your call is in the house, and I see Sunny Days is in the house. Or hey, Sunny Days. Hey, Sunny, how are you? I'm oh my goodness, yeah. I'm gonna have to do a whole. I mean, they got the new emojis, the new stickers, and I think it's going to be fun though if we can keep it. So yeah, just yeah, it's going to be definitely a learning curve again. All right. Well, hey, you, Mr. Chris, how are you this evening? All right. Okay. Well, I am going to turn it over to you, ladies and gentlemen, and y'all have a good week. And try not to go too crazy with the craziness out there. And but it's nuts. I'm getting information overload. I just like I want to pull my hair out sometimes. It's like, are you kidding me? I just go away, go away. Let me live my life. I'm tired. Huh? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Definitely taxes it. All right. I keep saying I'm going to go. So y'all have fun, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. You too. All right. And if you are on Rumble, thank you for joining me on Rumble and YouTube and Twitch. And this is Deb65 signing off for Saturday evening from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. actually, Eastern. I just for those in Rumble and Twitch and YouTube. I because I haven't figured it out yet, but because I don't have OBS, I when I first start on Patriots Soapbox, I'm having a conversation with somebody, so I haven't figured out how to be able to switch that over because uh, apparently, this entire screen. So there's something about Zoom that I cannot. There's something in Zoom that will not allow me to do voice in Rumble. So anyway, so I hope you guys have a good evening, and I will try to catch up with you and try to do some more. I do want to say that I may not be able to get to finish up at least Second Kings, the book of Second Kings, until after my move. So it may be a few more months before I can get back into the swing of things. So please, I hope you do not. Yeah, I hope you keep joining and just and keep listening. All right. Anyway, so good night, good luck, and God bless. And until we meet again, go in shalom.